Hi everyone, my name's Scott. Welcome to Planes, Trains, Everything, and welcome to Cramond Island, about 4.5 miles northwest of Edinburgh. It's also under the flight path of Edinburgh Airport. I was recently on Lindisfarne, which is an island off the northeast coast of England in Northumbria. Very historic island, and it's linked to the mainland by a causeway which gets covered by water at high tide. And I thought, there is another island like that closer to home, Cramond Island, and that's why we're here today. It doesn't take long to get there. It's about just over half a mile in length, the causeway, and it'll take about 20 minutes. But let's get walking. So here's a useless factoid for you. Did you know there are 43 tidal islands around the UK and 17 of them are in Scotland? Now I've got a question for you. People who climb Munros, they're Scottish mountains which are over 3,000 feet or 914.4 metres, they're called Munro baggers. What do you call a person that bags tidal islands? Are they island baggers, island hoppers? What do you think? Leave a note below. I'd be curious to see what you think. Whatever it is, this is my second one. Can't dilly-dally too long. It is currently 2:22 p.m. Low tide was at 2:02 p.m. So that means it's on its way in. And they have these here just in case you don't understand tides. Safe to cross 12:10 to 4:25 p.m. Not a problem. I just have to watch my feet here because I'm coming down some slippery steps. That sign there said there was no lifeguard service, but the RNLI will come and rescue you if you get stranded. And I'm going to talk to you about that. It's quite an interesting story. How cool is this? This causeway is actually quite slippery. It gets covered by seawater twice a day, that's why. Did you know in 2021 the local lifeboat service down at Queensferry there had to make 102 trips to rescue a total of 170 people stranded on Cramond. On one day alone in 2022, 28 people had to be rescued. Here in 2023, it's the second week in April, so far 8 people this year have had to be rescued, and that's only going to increase as the summer approaches. You know, I thought this was going to be a nice, serene, quiet kind of a little walk, but under the flight path, it's noisy here. What's that? Jet2.com, there you go. I contacted the really nice people at RNLI Queensferry and asked them a few questions. This is what they told me. The RNLI don't charge anyone for their services. The main reason is because people wouldn't call for help, which could jeopardise their safety. They assess each call out they receive from HM Coast Guard and decide whether they will attend or not. Generally, if the people are ill, injured, with small children or going to return in the dark, they will go and collect them. Another problem is people walking from the island to the mainland and then turning back. They're now soaking wet, and with hypothermia this can become a problem. Having just mentioned how slippery this is, I nearly just ended up on my backside there. What a shame I wasn't filming that. This thing here to my right is an anti-boat boom. It was built during the Second World War to defend Rosyth Naval Base, which is in that kind of direction there. In fact, most of the structures on the island date from the Second World War. While I'm walking along here, I just thought I'd remind you guys that on my YouTube channel I do have a community tab. Check that every now and again because sometimes there'll be some photographs, maybe a video or two. You never know what you'll expect. If you are on Facebook, you can follow me there for live updates whenever I can find some decent Wi-Fi. I'm also on Instagram, I'm also on Twitter. So no excuse not to follow where I'm up to. It gives you a clue as to where I am because most of the videos I do are around 3 to 4 weeks after the event. So if you follow me on social media, you'll know where I am and why I'm there ahead of everyone else. This is really slippery. So the question is it possible to get up there without me breaking my neck? The answer is maybe. I'm wearing my hiking shoes and they've got absolutely no grip whatsoever on slippery rocks. So this could be interesting. I'm going to put the camera away. I made it up without totally embarrassing myself. Get a good view of the place now. When I checked the weather report yesterday, it said 40% chance of showers. I checked it about an hour ago and it had changed to 80% chance of rain. As a result, the tracks around here are pretty muddy, but we're doing all right. I actually thought because of the weather and the fact it's still April and a bit chilly today, there wouldn't be many people here. But I hadn't realised how popular a walking area this is. There must be dozens of people. I wonder how many will get stranded in about an hour and 15 minutes. As long as I'm not one of them. That would be a good finish to this video, wouldn't it? The highest point of the island is 28 metres above sea level. Let's see what kind of views we can get. Looks as if the wind directions change as well, because now the flights are leaving over Cramond Island instead of arriving over Cramond Island. Over to the west we can see the Forth Bridges. Over to the east we can see Edinburgh Castle. And we can also watch the tide coming in. I just had a sneaky look at the causeway while I was at the top of that hill, and I'm pleased to report there are still people arriving onto the island as well as people leaving it. So either I do have my times right or I'll have company if I'm stranded here tonight. I think I'm kind of paranoid about tides because when I was really young, before we moved out to Australia, we went for a holiday down to Girvan in what is I think South Ayrshire now, and my father was sleeping on this riverbank and was fishing. And I went away exploring, and when I came back I couldn't get back to where my dad was because he ended up on a small mud island as the tide came in. And I've always been kind of worried about that happening to me as well. Maybe that's why I don't go fishing, I don't know. Yeah, so we're heading towards the north part of the island now, which is just as picturesque as the south part, I think. But there are ruins here, and there's also the remains of an old farmstead, which was, I think, occupied until the 1930s. But they actually grazed sheep on the island here until the 1960s. Since then it's just been a nature reserve. There's loads of little paths and you can go exploring, and you can also do some plane spotting if you really want to. Shall we go in? If you did get stranded on Cramond Island, I think you'd end up in there. It may not be a Hilton or a Sheraton, but at least it's dry. Oh, you get some good views from up here. I've read a couple of times that the buildings on that island were designed from a distance to look like a battleship. Now I've seen pictures and videos of that in the past and I thought, no it doesn't. But when you see it in real life, yes it does. Videos and photos don't do it any justice. It does look like a battleship. It's amazing. Right, we've found some more ruins down here. Plenty of time. Echo. I'm actually surprised at the number of ruins on the island. It must have been quite some community during the Second World War. However, this looks as if it predates the Second World War just based on the fact that it's made of sandstone. This could have been part of the original farmstead. I'm going to start heading along the western side of the island. I can't actually see the causeway, but because it's right underneath the flight path at the moment, as long as I can see aircraft, I know where the causeway is. Okay, onto the beach. We'll have a little look around. Plenty of time, I'm not panicking yet. Still, we've got an hour before our window of opportunity closes, and I'm stranded here for the night. That's not going to happen. Unless I twist my ankle or something and I do something really stupid. So it's a possibility. I'm hurrying because I've just noticed my watch has stopped, so I don't really know what the real time is. Just joking here, adding a bit of suspense to the video. Yep, we have a beach and we have the causeway directly ahead, and it's dry. We'll be at the causeway in around 5 minutes. Window of opportunity closes in about 30 minutes, plenty of time, but I might hang around on the mainland side. I'm just curious to see how many people cut it really fine. I do know people camp on the island overnight, which is a great idea. I'd love to do that. However, if you're under the flight path of Edinburgh Airport, with flights leaving from 5 AM, that could be a very early start for you. I do know people also go there for 6-7 hours until the tide changes, and then they can come back and in the meantime have a little party. There's campfires, there's beer cans, the whole lot. There's a few people heading that way. They're not cutting it fine, they've still got 30 minutes to get back, but the lads I saw there didn't look as if they were in any hurry. They might be heading back when the tide changes, and that's around about midnight tonight. Why not? It's 4 o'clock. The safe crossing window of opportunity closes at 4:25 and still there's plenty of people heading in that direction. Okay, there's a few lads that look as if they might be going for a wee kind of drinking session, but there's senior citizens, there are people walking dogs, the whole lot. I'm guessing these are locals, they know the tides better than anyone. However, I can't see the tide, even though it does come in quickly, I can't see that coming in so quickly in 25 minutes that it's going to compromise your crossing of the causeway. I think they're erring on the better safe than sorry judgment here, I think. I couldn't resist it, I had to come down here for a closer look at these concrete structures. They've been here for 80 years, and based on the amount of erosion, the amount of decay, I don't think they'll be around for another 80. They're quite incredible. I was just doing a quick calculation in my head, and high tide won't be here for about 4 hours. So I think these safe crossing charts are for visitors such as myself who are not used to walking along causeways. The locals know this place like the back of their hand. So as a result, I'm not going to be hanging around waiting for high tide to see if anyone gets trapped, because A, it's 4 hours away, and B, it's going to be dark by then. So guys, thanks very much for coming along on this little adventure to Cramond Island. Yes, I managed not to get stranded. Thank you very much for your support, and I'll see you next time.